talk about angels on the other side as part of the world,
Mm.
that world after we die. What do you think about that?
Angels on the other side? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Are there angels on the other side, first as a threshold question? There are minds over there who don't have bodies. They're more energy kind of forms. People sometimes describe them as light bodies, L-I-G-H-T, as in like a light, like a light bulb kind of light. So lit up, sort of, luminescent, so to speak. And that's the experience that some people have had of these energies, or these minds who are more kind of energy, in an energy form. And they can call them angels. Some of themselves over there, they call themselves angels. So when people ask me, are there angels? It's kind of like saying to me, well, are there human beings? Well, there are these things that we're walking around planet Earth and we are in these bodies and we call ourselves human beings. So yeah, I guess human beings. So I guess, yeah, from that perspective, yeah, some people might call these beings angels. But I prefer to think, the reason I say that in that way is because I prefer to think of them more as they're minds, just like we are. We have minds. We have minds that are in body, and we have bodies. We have minds and bodies. Over there, they have minds, no bodies. But they're still minds. I don't like to make them into this bigger than life kind of thing that this notion of angels tends to do in our culture, in our world. They got big wings. They're sometimes physically, you see paintings, for example. A lot of paintings, they're physically bigger than the humans are. This whole notion that they're bigger than life, bigger than humans, smarter than humans. There's that notion. Look, I prefer to think as them as more like us than less like us. They just don't have bodies. And a lot of the us, humans, who are in bodies, who then die, or on the other side, are what some people refer to as guardian angels and angels. They just don't have a body. So you think about it. So after we die, let's say we go to the other side, what I call the other side, whatever we want to call that. People can use different labels. And remember, whenever I'm saying mind, I mean soul, awareness, energy, consciousness. That's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the little ego or the little analytical part of our mind. I'm talking about big mind. So our minds go there. Well, the minds are here in bodies. Some of the minds here in bodies I would not listen to. I wouldn't listen to their advice. You gave me $1 million, I wouldn't listen to their advice. Just give me the $1 million and I ignore their advice. That's okay. But I don't want to listen to their advice because maybe it's really bad advice. Well, those people die. Now their mind, their body dies, their mind continues. Now it transitions to the other side. Now they're an angel. You're going to listen to them just because they're an angel? They were given bad advice on this side. They might give them bad advice on the other side, is my point. That comes back to the thing I keep saying over and over and over again, which was Jesus' message over and over and over again, which is we make our own decisions. We need to think for ourselves. He always told us we need to think for ourselves. This is the message. By thinking for ourselves, what does that do? It strengthens ourselves. It strengthens who we are. We reinforce that knowledge of ourself. Because remember, I talk about this ancient Greek sense of turning within, this ancient Greek sense of virtue. We turn within, we know ourselves better. We come out, we're stronger, we're more self-confident. Well, when we put that into thought and action, and actually make decisions based on that knowledge of ourselves, we reaffirm to ourselves that knowingness of ourselves. We make it permanent in a sense, that knowingness of ourselves. We grow as individuals. That was the teaching of Jesus. How many people talk about his teaching that way? That has been totally lost. That essentially, what I just said in the last 3 sentences, that was his teaching. Because what does that do? That makes people more strong. That makes them more happy. That reduces and potentially eliminates this notion of cruelty. It allows people who are being abused by a cruel person to help them transcend that cruelty, because they are so strong within themselves that that person who is trying to make them feel small can't make them feel small. Trying to make them feel miserable can't make them feel miserable, because they feel so strong within themselves, the person who's they're attempting to abuse. So what does the cruel person do? They go elsewhere. They leave you alone. That's how you transcend cruelty. So all of this derives from the essence of Jesus' teaching, really. And so what I'm saying for this side of the veil, for all of us human beings and bodies, applies equally. Back to your question about angels on the other side. It applies equally to the angels on the other side. Don't have physical bodies, still have minds. That means they still have emotion, they still have desires. That means they can still experience pain and suffering. Not in a physical way, but in an emotional and a mental way, still. That means that people on the other side could still be cruel to each other, because they can try to inflict, for their own pleasure, pain on others on an emotional level and a mental level. And that could happen. But I think we need to think about change where we are. Whether we're on this side or that side doesn't matter. In other words, it's the where we are doesn't matter. Where the mind is irrelevant. It's what the mind does in terms of strengthening itself or not strengthening itself, increasing its self-confidence, improving its likelihood, its probability of being happy on this side or the other side. Doesn't matter. That's the key. So I think we got to get rid of this notion of are we human, are we angels, whatever, angelic form. You know, we can be angels in human form, if you want to think about it that way. Those people, and I'm not one of them, but those people who think of angels as being more spiritual, more wise, or more tapped in somehow than us on the human side, well, if you want to believe that, that's okay. I'm not here to change people's beliefs. But even if you have that belief, then I'm saying that why not do it now? You can make yourself as powerful, as confident, as wise, as knowing as they are, if you believe that they are more knowing than you. You can do that by turning within. This was Jesus' message. Heaven on earth, right? Live like heaven on earth, that notion. Not heaven as an escape place, but heaven as a place that we can bring onto earth. But how do that? Not externally, internally, in here, in our consciousness, in our mind, through this turning within process. Simple. It's so simple. It's a very simple message, extremely profound, you know.